Good morning, sorry, a little tired. Good evening, it is now 6 o'clock, and I hereby call the April 21st, 2026 City Commission meeting to order. Jared, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Adamchak,
Present.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Here.
Commissioner Morrison,
Here.
Commissioner Von Linnell. Here. Mayor, we have 5 commissioners present. The quorum of 3 is met.
Thank you. Will you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have one proclamation today, proclaiming Museum Month in Manhattan. If you are here to receive the proclamation, will you please come forward? Usually the support stays in the, hey. Glad to have you all. Whereas museums are vital community institutions that collect, preserve, and interpret the art, science, heritage, and natural resources of our world, and whereas museums play a critical role in preserving cultural memory by safeguarding artifacts, documents, traditions, and artworks for future generations, and whereas museums nurture scientific literacy and a culture of curiosity, equipping visitors with the skills to think critically and better understand the world around them. And whereas museums provide essential educational opportunities for learners of all ages, offering interactive programs, exhibitions, and resources that inspire lifelong learning. And whereas museums strengthen local communities by fostering civic engagement, encouraging dialogue, and providing inclusive spaces where people from all backgrounds can gather, learn, and explore. And whereas museums are economic engines that contribute significantly to the Manhattan economy, attracting visitors, supporting jobs, and enhancing the vibrancy and cultural appeal of our community. And whereas the City of Manhattan is home to world-class institutions that represent the breadth and scope of the museum world, including the Flint Hills Discovery Center, the Museum of Art and Light, the Marian Kistler Beach Museum of Art, Riley County Historical Museum, Midwest Dream Car Collection, Wonder Workshop Children's Museum, Sunset Zoo person, thank you. Sunset Zoo, Kansas State University Gardens, Kansas State University Insect Zoo, K-State University Historic Textile and Costume Museum, the Goodnoe House State Historic Site, Wolf House Museum, and the Pioneer Log Cabin. And whereas the International Council of Museums officially recognizes and celebrates museums during the month of May, now I, therefore, Susan E. Adamchak, Mayor of the City of Manhattan, do hereby proclaim May as Museum Month in Manhattan. And I encourage all citizens to observe this day and this month with appropriate ceremonies and activities. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Manhattan to be affixed. Congratulations. Thank you all for being part of our community. I know I treasure you all and have appreciated the opportunities that I've had to visit your institutions, to bring my family to it, to bring my friends to it. Thank you, thank you.
Just a few quick words. You know, this is the first, but definitely not the last of these museum proclamations. You know, tonight is about celebrating and acknowledging Manhattan, Kansas as a leader and innovator in the museum sector. It isn't just the big cities on the east or west coast that are doing great things in this field. We are showing that small towns in the heart of America can be leaders and champions for arts and culture and education. We are your Manhattan Museums. We are proud to represent this community to the world. Be on the lookout for more exciting things to come. You will see these posters around town. Check out the website. We're partnering with Visit Manhattan about showcasing some of the wonderful things coming up in the month of May. So happy Museum Month, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you. Before we begin, Commissioners, I would just like to point out, if you might notice, or you might already have been alerted, that we have new text in our scripts, and it is no longer necessary. For example, if you wish to make a motion, you do not necessarily have to read the entire instructions, considering. There is a shortened version of that on our agendas. So I know some of us don't refer to this perhaps as closely as we might, but just be aware that there are a few edits that will allow us to streamline some of our processes. Thank you. All right. We will now hold open public comment for anyone wishing to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda. If you have signed up at the podium, please come forward. You will be asked to speak first. If you have not signed up, please do so at the staff table where you see the yellow sign. If you come forward, please state your name and residential address and/or the organization you are representing. Each speaker may speak once for 3 minutes, and you must stop when our timer sounds. The public comment period will be limited to 30 minutes during this part of the agenda. Commissioners and city staff will not answer questions or debate issues at this time, and your comments will be taken under advisement. So, is there anyone who would like to make comment on any item not on the agenda tonight? All right, seeing no one approach the podium, open public comment is now closed. Commissioners, have you any general comments to make?
Went to the Flint Hills Transportation meeting last week. The K-18 connector is still a big success. They're up 113% over their first month. So the Manhattan to Junction City route is getting a little bit more notice and getting some use. So that's a good thing. Also went to the Flint Hills Metropolitan Organization meeting. They transferred back $110,000 to the city that had just been in their kind of their emergency fund. And then also the Kansas Science Festival is Saturday at the public library, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So researchers and just people just talking about science, and anybody's welcome. So
Great, thank you. Commissioner Morrison? Commissioner Fox?
Just remember, tomorrow is Grow Green Day, so you can give to any charity you wish, pretty much, in Manhattan. I'll be there from 11 to 1, so bring my money, not to Susan's, who's going to be there at 8.
Yes, I also will be volunteering at Grow Green tomorrow morning. I have the early shift. I also will report that this past week I attended several days of an inter-regional meeting in Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville is a city a little bit larger than we are, very much influenced by Furman University, which is in Greenville, and Clemson, which is about a half hour away. We had an opportunity to visit with their mayor, city administrator, members of their Chamber of Commerce and other entities that have worked to effect a very major rehabilitation of their downtown area in the last several years. Those who participated will be convening in about a week to compile our reactions and see if there are some takeaways that would propel some action that we would choose to pursue in the future. So overall, it's very informative, lots of good discussion, both with our hosts and with people on the trip. So, all right, now we will move on to our consent agenda. Any commissioner may remove an item for separate consideration. Does the commission have any questions or comments on the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'd like to remove items D, E, and F from the consent agenda and deal with them individually.
All right, anyone else? I can't remember. Do we need to take a vote on that? Yes. No.
We just need to vote on the others first.
All right. All right, with those items removed, we will vote to approve.
I move we approve.
Just really quick, item D has 3 sub-items on it. It has items 1, 2, and then the third one is approving a resolution for a special event with alcohol for the Little Apple Pride Festival. Are you requesting to remove that one as well, Commissioner Fox? So we need a motion to approve the consent agenda, excluding items D1, D2, items E1, and F1.
Do we have a motion?
No.
Yes, do we have, well, no, I think we do the motion to remove first, and then we have public comment.
So I would move we approve the consent agenda minus items D1 and D2, item E, and item F.
Second?
I think you would still do the public comment for the items that are being approved.
Are there any public comments on the remaining items, which are the minutes, the claim payments, a cereal malt beverage license, and the resolution for a special event with alcohol? Seeing no one approaching, we will close public comment. Do we have a motion to, so Jared, can you call it?
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes?
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Linnell,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with the exceptions of item D1 and D2, E1, and F1, which were removed from the consent agenda.
All right. So, Larry, would you like to raise your concerns about those items?
Sure. So on item D1 and D2, D1, we're turning $32,500,000 of temporary notes into general obligation bonds, so those are permanent financing. So I think it'd be helpful to at least review what it is we're financing with those. And the same with item 2, we're taking on, this is additional debt to the city, to the tune of $32 million. And I think it ought to be aired, exactly what we're borrowing, what the projects are that we're funding with that amount of money, because it's pretty significant.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Jason Hilgers, Deputy City Manager. The item itself is accompanied with a resolution. There is a pre-issuance report, capital project listing, and then a bond schedule for each of these items. If you would like to go through the titles, Phase 8 of North Campus Corridor, Brian might be able to hop in here too. And this is our permanent debt. So these projects have been out there for 3.5 years roughly. These 5 capital projects, more than likely all of them are complete. I know they are because we're going bond. So they've been under construction in the last 3 to 5 years. Phase 8, Brian, can you elaborate on, or
Yeah,
is there a map in there?
Phase 8 of North Campus was the landscaping along North Manhattan between Claflin and Kimball. Completed a couple years ago, included irrigation, landscaping, signage, those sorts of things, trail.
So we issued about 4.6 million in temp notes in 22. Those are mature. We're ready to go to permanent financing. reconstruct runway 321, our portion of that project, 3.285 million. We issued those in 2022. It's ready to permanent financing as well. Water booster station upgrades, again in 2022, issued about 3.4 million in temp notes. Water fund will be supporting that completely. 12th and Laramie, this was our electrical overhead bury in Aggieville, 2.2 million. Did that in 2023. And then the Aggieville garage, 16.6 million in 2024 was a reissuance of temp notes. We actually issued those temp notes originally, I think it was around 2020, Rena, if you recall, 2020 or 2021, when we originally constructed the garage. These were extended during a time period where the city needed to take time to get its rating from the rating agencies solidified so we could issue this type of debt. So we are at 18.1 million on that bond amount. Any specific questions about these projects we can answer, or we can move on to the tip notes as well.
I was just gonna point out that principal payments, it looks like annually are a little over 2.2 million. And interest, annual interest starting out, at least on 32 million, is somewhere around 1.6 million or so, somewhere in that vicinity. So in 2027, we're looking at a debt payment of somewhere under $5 million. Just for these, I just point that out, and that's gonna continue, so. Debt's gonna come up in the budgeting season. I think it's fair to point these things out, that this is what we're paying for.
Yeah, next week we will go over in the year financials with you all for 2025. We will also give you an overview of the bond and interest fund and a forecast for that fund as well. In the resolution, we also, or in the agenda, we also have a resolution for temp notes. There are, I believe, 5 capital projects, and then we have 10 special assessments. Our capital projects range from additional phases within Aggieville, the North Channel improvements. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah,
one a
so
little bit?
that's an ongoing project, part of the downtown east-west master plan, part of the levee project. That's to carry stormwater from downtown north, around Parker Hannafin to the north there, and then through the big new gate well that goes out to the Blue River.
The wastewater treatment plant biosolids upgrade and expansion, that's a $25 million project you all recently had authorized. This only issues a portion of that. You should expect another portion next time we issue temp notes. This project's gonna take several months, so we didn't issue all of those notes at one time. Anderson Avenue, that's obviously the active project currently between Harris and Connecticut, $10+ million there. Special assessments, you get into quite a few of these out in the northwest part of town with Willis, Braylon, Breckett, Wren, and Marin additions. Highlands at Grandmere, also the same general area. Kimball Avenue improvements at Cedar Development, I believe that's Cedarhurst.
Yep.
And then you got the Highlands at Grandmere Unit 4, just right next to the Highlands at Unit 3. Any questions about these projects? These are projects that you likely are seeing active construction. And these are getting all these projects to a point where we can financially make payments on those contracts.
So I would just point out that on a couple of the special assessment projects, 2 of them up in Colbert Hills, that Willis, Braylon, Breckett, Wren, the 4 different items total $3,770,000. So, you know, we're looking to the homeowners in that development pay those.
Yeah, total there's like 70 or 80 lots.
Now,
5 different.
Yeah, it's 5 different subdivisions. There's 70 or 80 lots. So when you divide 3.7 by 80, the payments aren't unheard of for what we're seeing today.
And then the other one up there, the Highlands Unit 4, I mean, that's $1,670,000, so.
Yeah, again, about 25 lots on that.
Yep.
So, you're looking in that $3,000 to $4,000 a year range.
For new commissioners, as you start seeing these petitions come through, and then you start to see the projects bid, and then you'll start seeing the temp notes to actually fund both of those processes. You all coming in fairly new to the process, your first exposure, totally understandable to ask the questions and inquire. But pretty soon, you're gonna start seeing multiple reference points back to
Yep.
divisions like this.
I think it would be very helpful for the public if you would show, you've got the printout there, the revenue stream, where it's coming, designated revenue, because a lot of those are stormwater, sewer, that kind of thing. And of course, the specials, those are paid by people who
They're
live
doing
there,
it
so.
properly, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So basically, the only one that's on there is,
2 storms and a
yeah, just,
wastewater.
All the temporary notes have funding sources, it looks like, but on the permanent note, most of those are coming from our bond and interest fund, which is
there was one,
either our sales
One
tax or our
water.
property tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one water fund, 3,600,000, so, but the rest of it's,
Yeah,
Have to-
2 of them are in Aggieville, 2 of them are in North Campus.
they're
Or,
gonna
I'm
show
sorry,
up in our
one in North
budget.
Campus, the other in the runway. The Aggieville projects and the North Campus, we've talked about that 2020 vote for the 2023 sales tax, that half-cent, 70% of it dedicated towards those 2 primary redevelopment areas. We can get you a little bit more project runway background unless
Oh,
Brandon wants to come
Think-
give you an update.
Good evening, Brandon Keyser. So 0321 reconstruction project, again, that project was about $29 million. We had 2 grants that ended up paying the majority of that. Our share, when it finally came through, was a little over that $3 million. And in April of 2025, we were able to roll a lot of that cost into our passenger facility charge that we get and was approved by the FAA. So a lot of that debt that you're gonna see there, we have a revenue stream that's gonna end up paying for most of that.
I
Any other
think it really
questions on
does
the runway?
help the public to understand, these, it's complicated, but where the various revenue streams are, that's not all coming out of your property tax.
One last question on the temporary notes. One was for a aerial fire truck due to $3 million. Is that something we approved, or does that need approval?
Good evening, Scott French. Yes, we've got 2 apparatus coming in. Our rescue truck is replacing a 2003 rescue truck. The current one's it's a single cab. The new one will have it's a 4-seater. I think it was roughly $1.2 million. We put these in roughly 3.5, 4 years ago. The fire manufacturers have they're backlogged at one point up to 4.5 years on the build out. We're getting these 3 years in, so we replace all of our fire trucks or attempt to replace them all within 25 years. So the other truck there will be getting late 2026 likely. It'll replace a 75-foot Quint that we currently have. That's a 2003 as well. It'll be a 107-foot ascent ladder. So those actually are funded through the fire equipment reserve, which is mill levy funded, but that's how that funding stream comes through. Any other questions?
That fire equipment reserve is part of the 18 mills that come to the city, 12 general fund. The other 6 are a combination of bond and interest, which is 0.6 mills, fire equipment reserve, employee benefit fund, KPNF. And we'll get into a lot more of that detail through the budget season too.
Thank you. Jason, can you look at the bid and award under item E1, construction contract?
I can look at it, but I'm gonna have Randy come up here and talk to you about it.
Do you have a specific question? No.
Mayor Adamchak, and Commissioners, if you all are prepared to go ahead and take action on item D, I would recommend so. Items D1 and 2.
Okay.
Oh, and also public comment if anyone is here for that.
All right, having heard that presentation, those several presentations, is there anyone from the public who would like to make comment on those two items regarding general obligation bonds and temp notes? All right, public comment is closed. Randy, if you'll just wait a moment. Do we have a motion to approve items D1 and 2?
So I would move, do we need two separate motions or do them both in one?
Yep.
So I would move we approve resolution number 042126A.
Second.
Jared?
Commissioner Fox,
Yes?
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Linnell,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
I move that we approve resolution number 042126-B, authorizing the sale of general obligation temp notes.
Second.
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Linnell,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox.
Yes?
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Now, Randy, would you care to fill us in on item E1, awarding a construction contract for approximately $650,000 for sanitary sewer rehabilitation?
Sure. I'm really just would be interested to know what questions you might have, and I'll try to answer those to the best of my abilities. Or I can kind of walk you through some of the background of the project that we do. So,
Is your reserve fund going to pay cash?
the intention for this project is we always pay cash for this project. We budget funds annually within the sewer maintenance budget for this project. We do not ever finance these.
So as I read it, it's various, you're lining sewer lines kind of
Correct.
in various areas around
Uh,
the city, and
for-
you've been doing it for years.
For many years, we've done this. It's a very, very productive way to rehabilitate sanitary sewer mains without having to replace them. Early on, it was a very expensive process because there was really only one company that was capable of doing this. Over the years, there are a lot more companies that can do it now as the patents expired. It's becoming a really broad field with a lot of different types of lining, a lot of different companies. And so it's helped us to, over the years, we've increased the quantities that we do every year. And just, I'm gonna throw out something that maybe we've talked about in some of the tours at the wastewater plant. So this process helps us to reduce I&I, inflow and infiltration in the sanitary sewer system dramatically. One would be, we started doing this in 1999. Obviously, the city has grown quite a bit over the last couple of decades. We've also incorporated Blue Township, and over that time, overall discharges to the system have increased, but our average daily treatment quantity at the plant has stayed roughly 5 million gallons a day. So that's a pretty good indicator that this is an effective program. Not to say that we have eliminated it completely. That's why we continue to do these projects. We try to do them every year. We weren't able to get to one last year. So we typically budget about $550,000 a year for this project, as mentioned in the agenda summary. This particular year, we set up a set amount of lines that we wanted to line. Traditionally, we only do about 8-inch mains. This year, we're looking at doing 8, 10, and 12-inch mains. And so, obviously, we came in with a bid that was higher than what's budgeted, but as I mentioned, we didn't do this project last year. We realized quite a bit of savings last year, so perfectly comfortable with awarding the project as is. This is a project that, once it's done, we'll go back and reconcile quantities, and there will probably be a change order. Usually it's a decrease, but that's really the background on it. So any more questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Randy. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, we will close public comment. Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve item E1?
So I would move that we approve item E1, the 2026 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project, number SS 2601.
Thank you.
Second?
Jared?
Commissioner Von Linnell,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes?
Commissioner Morrison. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Our final item is authorizing the city administration to finalize and execute an outside city water service agreement. Questions on this item?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of components that go into this one, so I may be able to answer some of those questions. If there are specific questions, it might be best for city manager or potentially even director.
Well, just to be clear, this goes out to the new car dealer out.
Correct, so this
East-
is,
and-
KRE Properties is the Flint Hills Dodge Chrysler Jeep dealership. They also own they own the current dealership here in town. And it's the EC Group that has a lot of other dealerships in Wichita area.
But at this time, we don't have any intention of annexing or anything out there, just it's
I-
possible in the future.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty clear in our presentations regarding the East Manhattan Gateway vision that the city does intend to eventually grow that direction. We have, of course, a boundary to the west with Fort Riley. We have Kansas State University to the north, and of course, we have the river to the south. So our growth opportunity is heading that direction further into Pottawatomie County. So while we did meet with the property owners and we did discuss the agreement that they had signed, that the previous owner had signed, but continues to run with the property, that when it comes time to annex into the city of Manhattan, they will not protest it. We had a really good conversation with them when they came in to make some of these changes to the water meter and the water line. And understanding that there were some agreements that were in place that the owner had put in with Pottawatomie County regarding some of those incentives, such as the industrial revenue bonds and the property tax abatement that they are getting for being out there, as well as a community improvement district sales tax that they have agreed with Pottawatomie County, that at this time they asked us to not pursue annexation, and trying to be good neighbors and appreciating that, we agreed, but also recognizing that eventually, yes, the city will be looking to annex out that direction.
Do we have a similar agreement with sewer, I assume?
I'll let Randy speak to those.
So when this property was developed as the Gwaltney subdivision, Pottawatomie County worked with them to do, I believe it was through a benefit district, to do their sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and streets. The reason we did the water was because within that corridor, we have an agreement with the Ruhr Water District that the city essentially has the first right of negotiation to serve water with any of those properties within the boundaries of that corridor, which I could pull up some stuff that shows that boundary, but just in generally, it covers all the commercial areas, the north and south side of Highway 24. Pottawatomie County Ruhr Water District number 1 has an unofficial statement to us that they prefer not to serve commercial properties. They're in the residential water business. So when new customers come into that area, they actually prefer that we serve them. So we worked on an agreement with the previous owner as they developed that property to come up with a means to help facilitate that water line construction. And originally, they paid for a portion of that water line improvement. Just a side note that the current owner, as a part of this agreement process, there were 4 years left on those payments for the 3 lots. They have agreed to pay the remainder of that off, and we actually got that check this week, so.
Not wanting to be too barbarian, but since we're worried about taxes, can we justify honorably not plumbing on to the $59,000 property tax that would be generated? That's more of an administration answer probably than yours, Randy, but.
Thank you, Commissioner Morrison, for your question. We did include a fiscal impact here because we have been having those conversations about what it looks like as we broaden our tax base and diversify our portfolio of land uses in our community. It is absolutely a question that we asked ourselves if it is now is the time to move forward with annexing this property. Like I mentioned earlier, though, the agreements that Pottawatomie County had put into place regarding a property tax abatement to incentivize that development out there, we would likely need to partner and have an agreement with them that would, for the next 10 years, would include a property tax abatement on our end anyways. So the chance, we did not have these conversations, so I do hope that our city attorney is not over there cringing that I'm saying anything. But we would likely have to forego these property taxes anyways for at least 10 years because they had already entered into that property tax abatement with Pottawatomie County. One of the other questions that came up because they had entered into that community improvement district with Pottawatomie County, which is an additional 0.75%. I believe it's a 0.75%. With CIDs, you can go up to 2%, but I believe they have an additional 0.75% to help them with some of their eligible improvements. Those eligible improvements were identified between the property owner and the Pottawatomie County Board of County Commissioners. So I'm not privy to all those details. I haven't really dove into that agreement and reviewed it. But just understanding what incentives were out there for this property owner and for this development to take place, did not feel like the timing was right to pursue annexation. We have shared with them, though, that we are interested, and we will eventually be heading that direction. So.
And I hope you don't mind me saying this, Danielle, but when we met with them, they obviously do have it within their business plan to eventually be a part of the city. They were honest with us on that. But I don't think they were anticipating that for a few more years.
Yeah, they shared with us their timeline was more in the range of 10 to 15 years versus the immediacy that we were looking at.
Commissioners, any more comments on this item, or do we have a motion to approve?
Public comment?
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this item? We will now close public comment.
I move we approve item F1, the outside city water service agreement with KRE Properties.
Second.
Thank you. Jared, once more?
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison,
Abstain.
Commissioner Von Linnell.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 to 1.
All right, we will now we are moving into a public hearing, and this is to consider an ordinance vacating a portion of utility easements.
Yeah, let me get some of these windows shut down here, Commissioner and Mayor, and all right, let me pull up the PowerPoint here quick. So Commissioners, Mayor Brian Johnson, City of Manhattan Public Works Director and City Engineer. This item is a request for a vacation of a small piece of property along Little Kitten. And it's a plat from the mid-'80s, and I will pull it up for you here in just a second. And away we go. Okay, so again, a request to vacate an easement, Western Hills Unit 3. This is along Little Kitten. This is part of the housing project that's going on north of Kimball, along Little Kitten Creek, along Little Kitten Drive. There's 2 utility easements, one here and one here. Again, this was platted in 1988, and at that time, whatever utility was in there thought that they would need that. They did not use that. Those have been vacant since 1988. From our last vacation request, a couple commission items ago, we went through the process that I showed you, that matrix. Nobody objected to the vacation request. And so we are here tonight after advertising. Again, these are the 2 little easements here on both sides that are part of the request. Again, applicant requested partial vacation easements. Easements were platted in 1988, but only limited use. Public notice was published March 20th with 20-day notice. All utilities were contacted. Public Utilities, Public Works have no facilities here and have no objections. And then we are at the public hearing. I do need to let you know that since we got the letter requesting the vacation, the property has sold, and the new owner is also part of, or is also requesting that vacation. So, can I answer any questions?
Brian, my usual concern with typos, this slide that you have up right now is referring to June 1998, and I believe your next slide shows.
1988.
Yes, so for the record, if that's intentional,
No, it is 1988.
okay, thanks. Sorry, didn't catch that when I read it before.
That's okay. I obviously didn't catch it either, so.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Director Johnson? Is there any public comment on this item?
To open a hearing. We open a public hearing.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Seeing none, we will
Close the public hearing.
close public hearing.
I move that we approve ordinance number 7820.
Second?
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Linnell,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you. Thank you. We will now close public hearing. Thank you, Director Johnson. We will now move into our general agenda. First item is to consider authorizing city administration to exchange and accept federal funds exchange for 2026.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to go into the SharePoint. Jared, how do I get into the SharePoint so I can pull up the presentation? Can you do it for me, please? I do have a real short presentation, but what this is federal funds exchange, which is a federal gas tax reimbursement that comes back from the federal government to the states. The states then, maybe I'll just present from here. The states then can pass that on to locals, or they can keep it themselves. State of Kansas for the last, decade or so has allowed cities to either take those dollars and spend them on a state highway, say Seth Child, I'd have to spend those dollars on Seth Child, or we can, we can exchange them for dollars that we can use on our local roadway at a 90-10%. So the state keeps 10, we get 90. Thank you, Jared. So again, federal fund exchange is federal gas tax dollars. That's part of that 24 cents that you pay when you're at the pump. It goes to the federal government. The federal government then disperses it amongst the states. KDOT gets a chunk of that, and then they have, for the last couple decades, they've been very generous about dispersing some of that to locals, and this is part of that exchange. We have always used the exchange for local maintenance or grant cost shares. The reason why is because if I do it on a federal system, I have to pay federal benefits, and I have to go through the federal Fish and Wildlife, Historic, all of those fund agencies in order to get a permit to build on a highway. They can only be used on federal highways if I want to keep the 100%. I also have to have KDOT design and inspection. So those things alone probably cost me 40% compared to the 10% I can turn in and do local. Historically, these are the FFE amounts that we've got. I will say that these in here, 15, 16, 17, 18, substantially lower. That was during the Brownback administration, and they reduced the exchange to about a 50-50, 60-40. Then they went to 75-10. So our exchange was significantly lower. Since 2020, they bumped back up into that $600,000 and $700,000 range. Past uses of this funding, obviously for street maintenance, mill and overlay, West Anderson, Bluemont, Venesta. This was the fund that we didn't get back until October of last year, so I couldn't bid a project until then because I didn't have cash in hand. We will turn this in this month and hope we get back our money. Typically it's about 3 to 4 weeks, so it was awfully odd last year that it was all the way till October. If we do get it back in time, in addition, we just had a bid letting for some street maintenance last Tuesday, and prices came in substantially less than what we thought they were, so we'll take that savings, we'll combine it with this funding source, and we'll go out for another bid package yet this year. With that, I will stand for questions.
Commissioner Morrison, do you have a?
Well, I can pay when the train right on down the track, but we haven't had comments yet.
Commissioner Fox?
So this is pretty much a given receipt of money each year?
No, it is not pretty much a given. It's something they've only started in the last 20 years or so. Again, there's a couple years there where the state kept the money because they were getting into KDOT money so bad. So it's not a given. We don't program it every year, but if we do get it, we spend it on street maintenance.
Okay, so when you talk about needing 6 million of street or 8 million, you might have 500,000 to 700,000 of that from these funds.
Possibly, and if you go back to that presentation when I said the model says 7, but we think it's closer to 8, this is part of that to get us to 8.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. We will see if there are any public comments on this. Are there any public comments? Seeing none, I will move that we approve the acceptance of these funds and the agreement as presented.
Second?
Jared, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Linnell,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
May I just ask, so this is simply authorizing the administration to proceed. We do not need to have a resolution or any other document about supporting that? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to our next item on the general agenda. Consider approving a resolution that eliminates the parking rates in the Aggieville garage and eliminating park mobile registration, nose-in requirements, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Jason Hilgers, Deputy City Manager. We had discussed this action in the months of January and February as we were providing Aggieville Street design. We have recently executed the Morrow Street design, and we have crafted a resolution and an ordinance pertaining to the parking garage in Aggieville. During construction of Morrow Street, we anticipated the parking garage really being the primary source of parking. We crafted these resolutions and ordinances to take effect June 1st of this year, which would allow for a good 7 months before we get to a point where we're likely under construction for Morrow. As I mentioned in presentations in January and February last year, in June, we basically allowed people to park in the garage for free, and it overly doubled the occupancy in the garage. We have realized and heard a lot of public feedback about the Park Mobile registration and about the requirements to go nose in, so the tail of your vehicle and your license plate is exposed. We have also engaged with our traffic shop and staff to paint the garage differently, starting in May. I believe we'll hit that before the June 1 deadline. We'll do 90-degree stalls at a wider stall on your way up to your right, and as you come down to your right, we will angle the stalls on the runs of the ramps. So we're gonna create a little bit more convenient parking. I anticipate the garage being utilized heavily, obviously, when construction starts, but this will give them a bit of a head start in the district as we continue to be under construction on 12th Street and Laramie Street. This will offer parking with no registration requirement and no fees associated with parking in that garage. This is indefinite. We can bring this back when Morrow Street is complete. We can have a conversation as a community how we want to address parking in Aggieville. We could also have a discussion how we want to address parking downtown. We've been doing it 2-hour Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 for several decades. It'd be worth a conversation at some point whether or not we want to continue that as well. I think both districts would need some time to give you feedback. A lot of the parking restrictions in our central business districts originally were about people parking out in front of their businesses and not moving. 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, have the districts evolved? They seem awful busy in the evenings and weekends. 8 to 5 Monday through Friday is a different clientele. I don't know if they feel the same way about parking that they once did, but we could definitely dive into that. Tonight, we're talking about Aggieville Garage. We're talking about removing Park Mobile. We're talking about removing requirements to go nose in, and we are eliminating the rates on a daily and hourly basis. Can I answer any of your questions?
Just one question here. Under application, the resolution applies to vehicles parked in the Aggieville garage except vehicles exempt pursuant to section blah, blah. What would
So we have some folks who have rented spaces for 30 days at a time.
Oh.
Needs to be workers, full and part-time, and some residential in the area have rented or reserved stalls in the garage. We still allow that.
Why would anybody not want to park nose in? What do they care if somebody sees their license plate?
It's not a matter of seeing it. We've had some requests from larger vehicles, some pickups that they would prefer to back into their stall.
I know, and it's, to me,
We back our pickups in.
we back our pickups in, and then it's so hard to get out of your car because they're getting into their cars next to you're getting into your car, and
We're gonna widen those parking spots. We're gonna give it a go this May, and we'll see how it turns out. We can keep adjusting things if we need to.
I don't think we need to.
Commissioner?
So, you're proposing to start it before we even have a plan for Aggieville, which may be 6 months or away or more?
I am.
And so does that lead us into saying, we're gonna have courage now to do away with all the rents and charges and rules? Are we gonna have the courage to say that's a permanent decision? Because you've left the door open for it to come back after Morrow's completed.
That door is open at any point in time. I just suggested once Morrow's done, you would be free of any major construction in the district. A new approach, a new discussion could surface at that point.
It seems to me that we either come up and say we have courage, we're just going to do away with it, or we say at some point when construction starts, it's in effect, and 30 days after we accept the project is done, it goes back into effect unless we make a good decision in that 4 months of construction.
We as, you know, we as a city, you as a body can make that statement. By the time that project is done, we may be dealing with different elected officials, possibly different administration as well. You know, that conversation is one that could be had at that point, for sure.
Andrew?
In that we're not, you know, that parking structure costs $18 million, and I sort of hate to give it away free. I mean, I think we should try and somehow, you know, get back some of the stuff. Will we be able to work with fewer staff there or anything?
That is the approach for the 2027 budget. We will have that conversation with you all. We, at one point in time, were $550,000 to $600,000 in parking services for a budget. A lot of the revenue we were generating was going back to try to offset the cost for Park Mobile and offset our employment costs. We generated around $200,000 in total, $130,000 out of this garage. It cost us more to operate it. I think it's time to look at it whole scale in terms of the parking services the commission, the governing body's willing to support and get feedback from the community as what they'd like to see.
Okay.
So my 2 cents is that I think that if we do charge for parking, it should be on Morrow. It should be the premium stalls should be the ones that have the fee associated. So like for me, a freebie like me, I would just drive to Aggieville and I would go straight to the parking garage because that's the free spot. And then the people that want to be closer and want to pay use metered stalls on Morrow. But for me, I would like to see the parking garage free because I think it's underutilized usually.
All right, hold that thought for a month or two until we have that conversation. Thank you.
So what is our maintenance cost with no income? What's our maintenance cost annually, monthly?
I'll be able to bring back greater details during the budget discussion. I knew the 500 to 550 on an annual. I knew our revenues were generally a little less than half. So, but I'll be able to bring that breakdown for you during the general fund and the operating budget for the city.
Well, I think I'd be inclined to, you're going to try to have things ready June 1. I don't see any emergency where we're still 6 months away from knowing what we're going to do with Morrow. If then, do you think we'll know in 6 months what our plan is with Morrow?
I do. I think we'll have some options for you all to consider at 30%, and then I think we'll be able to turn Olson loose after the majority decides how they'd like to construct it. I'm anticipating first quarter of 2027 we can be under construction.
So does it seem to be an emergency to do this tonight to make a decision how we need to do it? Or can it be, quote, kicked down the road till September when we see more what the cost is going to be and more what we're going to be doing?
The operation of the Aggieville parking garage is really more about where the district is today, where the district is going to be. We brought this up as a discussion point to address the convenience and some of the concerns that are occurring in that garage. Morrow is going to trigger a lot more dependency on that garage. If we start this summer and we allow the student body that arrives in late August, September to become, normalized by the garage and the way it's approached, the summertime is also not the district just has a different feel and a different use. So we didn't want to deter folks from parking. Again, we're going to shut down Laramie. There's going to be a lot of construction yet through September and October, just trying to create an environment that's inviting and accessible to the public. We recognize there's challenges in that garage. Eliminating Park Mobile and eliminating the hourly rate, we've done it last year. We saw a tremendous influx of user groups. Just trying to put the district in the best possible position to operate.
If there are no further questions from the commission, we will take public comment.
Good evening, Commissioners. Travis Worrell, President of the ABA and owner of So Long Stone and Taco Lucha. First and foremost, it is a pleasure to do business in Manhattan, Kansas, and even more so in Aggieville. It's a historic district. A lot of great things happen down there. We can't do business well with no parking. We know we're heading into a major crisis with Morrow, with parking. To Jason's point, it's hoping to teach people to use this garage because it is underutilized at the moment. And I hope that by doing this and doing all these things, making it free and making it more accessible, people will use it. The number one thing we get day in and day out is, I don't want to use the app. I refuse to park in the garage. I refuse to do all these things. People just vehemently hate the garage for some reason. I don't really understand why. So hopefully by doing these things, we drive some interest back to the garage. Therefore, when Morrow is shut down, we can have sustained business and hopefully have people still parking and customers coming to us. My 2 cents.
Thank you, Travis. Is there anyone else who would like to make any remarks? All right, we will close public comment. Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 0421-26D?
I would make that motion.
Thank you.
Second?
Okay. Jared, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Linnell,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Commissioners, we have a second action on this item.
And I'd go ahead and move, we approve ordinance number 7821.
I will second. Jared?
Commissioner Von Linnell,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We will now move on to item C on the general agenda, to approve a resolution awarding a construction contract to J&K Contracting for Stedell Johnson Road Sanitary Sewer Benefit District.
Okay, I'll give the second a load. Thanks, Commissioners. This is a interesting project. This is a couple of small projects, but they've been ongoing for several years. There's a lot of moving parts to it, so if I could get this to quit giving me the spinning wheel of death. Close that out. Open up the open up the PDF version real quick. Okay. So this is a very similar presentation to what I presented to the County Commission, Riley County Board of County Commissioners, back in late February or early March. They're involved because they are actually a petitioner in Part C. So as the mayor mentioned, the primary reason we're here is to talk about a portion of this benefit district improvements project, Part C, to award a project and accept petitions and approve a resolution. But it's really hard to talk about just this project without talking about a little bit of background on all of the projects. And I'll try to make this as brief as possible, and I'll give you the opportunity to ask any questions you may have on some of the other projects. But as I said, so for the first part, we're going to talk about Part C, and I'm going to jump around a little bit here from this agenda. So I realized that I didn't put a good location map in the packet for just this overall area. Some general background on this area: the city collaborated with Riley County in 2008 to build to develop the Kanza Sewer Benefit District and construct a large sewer trunk main, as you can see in this table or in this picture here. To serve this area, at one point there was a belief that this was a high potential development area. So at that time, the city worked with the county, not only on the sewer trunk main project, but also a water improvement project. So we also have a water infrastructure that serves this district as a wholesale, and then Riley County and has a water district where they charge those customers. So the intent of this project was really just to build the main infrastructure, and as redevelopment occurred or the needs arose, there would be smaller sanitary sewer mains built to serve individual properties. And the intent was also that those areas would pay for those projects themselves. A good example would have been the Fairmont Heights project. Probably five years ago, we finalized that project with construction. It was, again, another collaboration between the city and the county, where they obtained a USDA grant to help build this project. It is a city-operated and maintained system, and those are all city customers. That's the other intent of this district, is that anybody that connects to the system, this is a city-owned sewer infrastructure, so they become the city customers through outside city agreements. So that particular project, we don't technically own it until that 40-year USDA loan ends. So a little bit of information on the area. So moving over to part C of this project, you got a map here that was in your packet that just kind of shows the properties that are impacted. It's really a small 200-foot portion of sanitary sewer main. We went out and collected bids. We took bids on the project. Once we got good bids, we solicited or we circulated petitions to the four property owners. There's 4 tracks, 3 property owners. Track 3 here is the Riley County fire station. And then they acknowledge that someday they'll probably sell that property and would like to be able to put sewer service on it. So a little bit of background on Part C of the project. Again, 4 tracks, 3 owners, 10 total shares. This project was broken up into the number of connections equals the number of shares. There's no city at large. Although this project was bid in the fall of last year, the contractors honored their bid prices, so that bid price is $44,917. Again, we didn't have to acquire any easements. The total benefit district costs, including financing fees, et cetera, is just under $90,000. So we got an as bid, and I thought I fixed this. It's actually fixed in the PowerPoint, but
I did catch that one.
I caught it, and I had it changed for you, but it's a cost per share of about $9,000. Estimated annual payment for those customers are going to be $660 through annual assessment. So we do have actions that would, for the commission, they'd have to find the petitions sufficient, approve a resolution, and award that contract to J&K in the amount of $44,917. Because it's a smaller project, usually would ask for city manager approval for change orders of 5%, but we do include 10% in the benefit district calculations, as we would do with most project authorizations. So we did put in there a request for 10% of the project cost. So that's what we have in front of you tonight as far as what we need for a motion. We can have conversation on that now, but I do have some background on projects A and B, I think, that are relevant that you need to hear, because I do want to get a little bit of feedback and direction from the commission on how to proceed with that. So any questions on Part C?
I do have one. So what's the difference between total estimated cost and the construction cost?
So this is all costs factored into what would go into an improvement district. So financing costs, district fees, engineering services fees. I think we're about $15,000 for this portion. Of course, there's contingency, the 10% contingency, all financing costs. There's the costs that we have for Gilmore and Bell to review the petitions and develop the resolutions. And have I missed something else, Rena? Yeah, so bonding fees, et cetera, so, I think it's a pretty extensive list of other things that
So
go
you,
into it, so.
even if you're paying cash for these projects, you need bonding fees and financing costs?
So we won't pay cash. We fronted the project, typically we would front the project, but, the design of the project with cash, but they would, like in many other projects, they would go to temp notes, and then once the project is completed, they would convert to bonds, correct? And so all those appropriate fees would be applicable, just like, for a residential subdivision here in Manhattan that you guys reviewed earlier.
And I can't remember if it was this project, I'm sorry. Is there a bid sheet for this one? There was one project on tonight's agenda where the winning bid was like half of what was offered by other companies.
Let's see here. That's the wrong item here. So we do have a bid summary. We did have multiple bids. We broke the bids up. So this bid shows Part C only. When we bid the project, we bid Parts A, B, and C. And so, obviously, yeah, we have the low bidder, J&K Contracting. We had the ability to award any or all of these parts. So in this instance, we're awarding Part C, we're just opting not to award Parts A and B. And I can get into the reasons why as we discuss some of the background.
Does this raise any red flags that this project, I mean, to me as a non-engineer, non-sewer person, that's a pretty substantial difference in those bids. I mean, it is 1/3 of the highest bid and close to 1/2 of the next two.
Sure. I just know, obviously, we got Bayer and J&K. Those are local companies that we work with frequently. We've never worked with the other two companies. I think they're out-of-town companies. We've never worked with them. I'm not even 100% sure where they're out of. So they may not be familiar with doing this type of infrastructure. That's about the only thing I can
I mean,
gather, but.
I'm happy that it is appreciably lower, but it's also, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it's, that, we've been pretty lucky because when we bid the project, we anticipated and we made the contractors aware that there's gonna be a potential lengthy administrative process to go through between the time we bid it and the time we could actually award it. It's been about twice as long as I thought it would, just because of some difficulties, but they're gonna hold the prices for this project, and so we're excited to finally get it going, because me personally, I've been working on this project for, it seems like 6 years, trying to get it done.
That just hurts my head.
I know, me too.
Thank you.
Any
Thanks
other questions on Part C?
My question would be, as I look at the information you gave and what you have, effectively, other than a courtesy financing tool, the city has no cost in this.
Correct.
Fair statement?
Correct. So when we started working with Riley County on this project, and just some of the background on the whys, there are multiple properties in here, like I mentioned in the agenda summary, that have failing septic systems. And there's reasons why, the county has regulations as far as why they can't allow them to repair or replace those septic systems. When we decided how to do this project, the city essentially took on the role of working with one of our on-call consultants to develop a cost estimate. So we bore the cost of the engineering fees up front. And if these projects don't come to fruition, we're on the record for those.
Right, but if they do get completed, that's reimbursed.
All of those will go into the benefit district fees.
So would the next assumption be accurate, that we're not a bad neighbor as a city?
Say that again? I guess I don't understand.
Well,
They understand, that's all that matters. We're a good neighbor.
at time, that's what I'm trying to figure out, if we believe
helping them
we're
out.
being a good neighbor to people who had need.
Correct.
Thank you.
I mean, that was, nobody, when this district was set up, I'm talking about the entire district. Now, this was before my time, and And there was not really a clear plan on how those future projects would get completed or who would be responsible for them. That's one of the things I've talked to county staff with, is we need to set some policies on how these will get completed in the future. The Fairmont Park site that I mentioned up here, that was a very good collaboration. Riley County took the lead on that. They had to because there was grant funding associated with it. This one, we took the lead, and I've had conversations with city staff. We probably won't do that again. There will be more participation by the county if we do this in the future. And there's more comments to come, I guess, on the next part of this.
Randy, I'm just curious, are all these houses to the west of this line, are they connected to this line, or they're not part of it?
There are a handful of properties that do have connections. I could not
I'm thinking
tell
to the
you
west.
how many, but just,
They're on Sugar Bush and not.
yeah, I'll
Liars.
actually pull up the GIS
I'm just
here
curious.
ahead. So yeah, I believe this property here does most of the properties through here. These properties back here do have connections. Sorry, I'm moving around quick. Most of the commercial properties here, like the Aggieville Brewery, the convenience store, Dara's, and that little office building there, they do have connections. So they all have individual outside city connections. Almost none of those projects required an infrastructure improvement to connect them. They just kind of benefited by the fact that they were adjacent, so all they had to do was construct a lateral. These properties, obviously, they don't touch the sewer, or it's not within their property boundaries yet, so that's why we had to extend public infrastructure to reach them.
Thank you, Randy. I think, were you going to comment on parts A and B
Sure, I can.
also?
Again, there's a lot of information, a lot of history on this, so I will try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. Get back to my presentation, wherever it decided to go. All right. There we go. Okay, so scrolling back up a little bit, parts A and B, they're the same project in a sense, but there's two different sections. Part A is this yellow line, and Part B is this line right here. We separated them because different properties benefit differently from each section of that line. The details on parts A and B are that these are the properties that originated the need for this project. So there's 5 tracks and 4 owners. Just real quick, going back to this map here, this property here is really what originated this entire project. They came to the city, they wanted an outside city service agreement, and we said, we can't do that, you have to actually extend public infrastructure to the property in order to do it. Those are 2 residential houses on one property. They both share a common sanitary sewer lateral system. The county said no. They wanted to split it in 2, sell one of the houses off. The county said no. So that's the genesis of the project. Then the county came back and said, well, we have this project or this site here that's got multiple buildings on it connected to the same septic systems. It's failing. There's another property over here that's in the same boat, a residential and a commercial property connected to one septic system. It failed, and so now there's an order by the county that owner has to pump out their septic tank once a month. So this is a problematic area. So we started working with the county to develop this project. We got engineering cost estimates, developed petitions, got everybody on board. Then this property here that started it all changed hands. I know this is a long story, and I'll try to make it quick, but at one point, all of these properties agreed, yes, we want to participate in this benefit district. We got petitions, the city commission approved those in 2022. We then went through the next stage of the project, which we finalized design. Before we bid, we had to go collect easements. Well, the new owners of this project, or this property, although they voted yes on the petitions, they changed their minds and they didn't want to give us easements. And going back to the presentation, This map here kind of shows you why. This, originally the line was on that property, the new main was on that line. Because they decided that they didn't want to participate anymore, we had to go back and redesign the project. And so we redesigned it so that it was on this property here, which is, those property owners were more than willing to participate with us. Very kind lady, used to be a city employee, and her husband, they were all for the project. So we redesigned it without Tract 1 having sewer on the property. But they still benefit from the project, so they have to participate in the district by law. So we went out and when we bid the project cost for A and B greatly exceeded what we had in the petitions. So those petitions are no longer valid. I've been having conversations with Riley County about how to handle that. And the Board of County Commissioners, they have shown that they will support this project moving forward, even though we don't have 100% yeses either by property owner or by shares. And I've got the stats here, but they have 80% of owners that are on board and 86% of petition shares. I will note that there is one city at large share in Part B, and we can get into the reasons why, but that's really unimportant, I guess, for this conversation. So where we are at now with projects A and B, we have a majority of the owners that want to move forward with the project. We have a county commission that also wants to move forward with the project. And legally, by state statute, we meet all the criteria to be able to force this benefit district on these property owners, even if one does not want to participate. I got another exhibit I want to show you. I might have lost it, but anyways, the caveat with this project A and B, I don't have it. See if I can pull it up. Link to. I had another link here, but even though that sanitary sewer is no longer on Tract A, our contractors come back and said it's not really feasible to construct without a temporary construction easement. So even though that future sewer is going to be on Tract 2, there's a large tree there, there is a fence that has to get removed, and just not to be able to construct this project here, they almost have to have some type of easement on Tract 1. Now I go back and said that's critical because that property owner already said they don't want to donate an easement. That's another note, that all easements to date have been donated by every other owner in the project. So we will have to work with the county at some point to likely go through eminent domain in order to obtain the necessary easement on that property. And I'm working with the county staff and hoping that they will kind of help take the lead in that. But they're pretty adverse to condemnation.
So those two houses don't want to connect?
They have decided that they do not want to participate. So when we reached out to all the petitioners to say, well, the petitions all said yes, except for that property.
How did they get their sewer service then?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, they have a septic system. It's not a failing septic system, so the county can't, if they ever wanted to split that lot in two, which is kind of how this started. The previous owner wanted to split it in two, and the county said, no, you can't do that because you're on a common shared septic system. Now that septic system's functioning today, and it's not really a need for them. But by statute, because that sanitary sewer main will go by their property and they will benefit from that project, they have to be a petitioner. Now they voted no, but they would still be included in the district if it goes forward. So I guess what I need for feedback from the city commission is, even though the Riley County Board of County Commissioners has said they support the project, I'll go back and I've got a slide here that shows, City Attorney Katie Jackson and I met with Gilmore and Bell, and we outlined some of the state statutes that govern how a city benefit district can be approved even if it's outside the city limits. And so for Part C, technically we meet all three of these, and you only have to meet one in order to proceed with the district. Is that right, Katie? And I'm making an assumption there that number 3, we have consent for the county on Part 3 because they are a petitioner. Now, they haven't adopted a resolution that says they'll participate, but they've agreed to participate in the project. For Parts A and B, we meet criteria 1, and we meet criteria 3 in the sense that they have given us a consent, an unofficial consent to proceed. But we meet the criteria, we meet one of these criteria, so technically the city commission could go enforce this benefit district without the approval from the governing body of Riley County. Now, I don't know if that would be something you want to do. You may want us to go back to them and say, put something in writing in the form of a resolution to support this, and then we'll support it. So you have options. So really what I want, or what I need in order to make this portion of the project proceed, understanding that we have a potential issue with needing to obtain property from somebody that doesn't want to participate willingly. But what would it take for this governing body for us to proceed with that portion of the project? Is there a willingness? Because we obviously have not a lot to lose, not a lot to gain here. We're trying to help out, being a good neighbor.
Well, I guess my perspective is substantially different on this one than C.
Sure.
We have no benefit to doing it, other than being a nice guy in the future, maybe.
Yep. And we'll obviously receive the benefit of additional revenues from those customers.
But the heartache and revenue is almost minimal compared to what you're doing.
Yeah.
It seems to me. I'd say my position would be advise the county, once they get it put together, then you'd help them do what they can, but I don't think it's our job to take land by condemnation or forcing the benefit district, one or the other, away from people that don't want us, and they're not in our city.
Sure.
Having dealt with this kind of issue for 8 years, there's no way that their sewer system's not gonna go bottom up at some point. And, yeah, and I see this as them wanting to have other people put it in, and then when they get in trouble, they'll ask to hook up, which will be much less than their share. I was part of the Conza sewer system when it went in, which was difficult. There were a lot of people who didn't want it.
Karen, speak to your mic.
Oh, there were a lot of people who didn't want it and were drastically in need of it. It's, I think we should assist the county on this, but I do think they should take the lead. And I have no problem with telling those people that they have to join the 21st century and get a decent sewer.
Sure.
It's a matter of public health.
Yeah.
And there are all kinds of statutes about health and what happens if you don't.
Sure.
And if you've got sewage running down the street, which I've seen, so.
I did note in the summary, I believe, one of Riley County's regulations is that none of these properties would be allowed to repair or replace their septic system if they are within 400 feet of a public sanitary sewer system. So Riley County will never allow them to build or to replace their septic systems or repair them. The only caveat to that is if they can demonstrate that it's not economically feasible to do so. In this case, we provided the means that it is economically feasible to do so. One thing I forgot to mention, I will note that just because we force that benefit district on them when you build a project, they're not being forced to connect. So just like other outside city properties, they would have to come to us for an outside city agreement, and we will provide a means for them to connect in the future. Well, let's say that property that doesn't want to participate, they don't have to connect, and they don't have to start paying city fees until they're ready or their system fails. So that is one important caveat.
But they will have costs because of the benefit district that they pay for the bonding, the engineering, the construction of the primary lines.
Yeah, ultimately, we have costs that we've incurred to date, like the engineering fees. And so if the project doesn't move forward, we won't get those back, and that's probably $20,000 worth of fees. So that would be our only cost in this project if the project doesn't proceed.
But if you do the benefit district,
Yes,
all those expenses will be paid,
by all
even though they don't connect them.
correct.
Okay, so, it seems to me that we're just picking the fight that, Commissioner may be correct that it's inevitable. I think your statement was they have a system that is working within standards and performing well.
That one property owner.
That one property,
The
and,
others do not.
well, then they have a neighborhood problem rather than a problem with us, I think.
Yes. I guess the county wouldn't normally take on a project like this unless there was some type of grant available, like Fairmont Heights. They've had similar projects like in Keats that they've tried to help resolve. So I think we're far enough along in this project. We're not gonna go back and ask the county to take over the project. Now, when it comes to maybe obtaining the properties, I think it's perfectly reasonable to say, county, do your part, do the part in this. You want the project to proceed, take over the eminent domain or something like that. But, it's not gonna resolve the overall issue that exists out there.
Well, I wasn't suggesting dumping it back on the county to do the project.
Sure.
But I do think it's their responsibility, to get it so we can do a project.
Yep.
Even though it's not of great benefit to us.
Sure. So I'm gonna go back and ask, like, what would you want from the county in order to feel comfortable approving this as the city's governing body?
I think it's up to the county to get the benefit district built, so to speak. I mean, Keats is a good example. It should have had sewer 100 years ago, quite frankly. And it took years and years to talk them into. The Sargent addition, when it came into the city, we had people telling us the E. coli in their well was the good kind. So, yeah. I think this is a public health issue, quite frankly. But I do think the county has to take the lead on this.
Sure.
And we should do everything we can to assist them. Because this is a public health issue, and you shouldn't have sewage sitting around.
I will say that parts A and B, we would likely have to go out and rebid those. And we wouldn't put out petitions until those have been rebid, so.
Yeah.
So, again, just be clear, the person holding out is the person that just bought their property within the last couple years.
They bought it right when we were getting ready to go out for petitions in 21, 22. All the petitions were originally drafted for the previous owner, and then they changed hands.
So they
And-
clearly knew this was going on.
Yes.
They
And
clearly
voted
know
yes.
that
They voted yes on the petition. It wasn't until we came asking for easements when they changed their mind.
they know that their septic system won't last forever. And
Correct.
the property's worthless without
Correct.
a sewer system. So, were this some elderly person out in the country that the city grew up around them, and that's one thing, but they clearly bought into this situation, so.
Correct.
They should be participating.
Katie, is there anything else I should be considering as far as how we would proceed with moving a district forward between the county and the city? I don't think there is.
Well, the other lots desperately need this.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, if they're having to pump once a month, that's crazy. And probably not effective.
I mean, this property here has multiple buildings. Their system is failing. It's still operational, but they won't be allowed to repair it.
Yeah,
Although they do have probably ample property to repair it. The owner benefits by having public sewer to that property because it's zone commercial. And, just respectively thinking from my opinion, this creates a huge value for those property owners, and they're aware of that, and that's why they're willing to participate. This property here is unused, it's owned by the same person that owns this property. They would like to build a commercial facility, a warehouse-type facility, and they are anxiously waiting for a public improvement to happen so that they can build that building, because they know that the county won't let them do a septic system on that property because they're within 400 feet of a public sewer. So this sewer project is really the linchpin for being able to remedy these situations and allowing this property to develop. This property here, if you knew the person that was there, you'd want to help them out.
So the,
The thing is that I think people have to understand that if your sewer has failed and you have a fire which burns more than 51%, you can't rebuild. You're stuck, you're finished. And so, I think for the greater good, often we have to get together and help. And that's, just make the whole thing legal and above ground, not the sewer.
so if the lot that needs it, can they afford to do it if you move? For example, you talked about you needed an easement and the people don't want to give it, that don't want the sewer, right?
Yeah.
Move it on the other side of the fence and trees, the people give you the easement.
Well, that's what we've already done. To say we went through a redesign.
But can they afford that, and would they still be able to do it? Because then you can prohibit other people hooking on without paying some of the cost.
I mean, we've looked at that avenue. We can do a different alignment, but again, we're gonna have to go through a significant cost to basically redesign the entire project. And I don't think that to be able to spread that cost over as many properties as possible is gonna benefit each individual owner. And we're looking at probably increasing the cost of the project and spreading it over fewer properties. So those shares are gonna go even higher.
And that's my question. Can they afford it? And if they can,
don't know.
then you cut the other folks out and they come begging when theirs goes downhill and they have to pay a premium to get back on our line. I mean,
I don't know if that's.
if there is a need for a resolution, that is a resolution.
I mean, we thoroughly reviewed all potential routes to find the most economical project for these owners, and that's what we settled on. So, yeah, it could happen.
It didn't work though. Your design of most feasible didn't work because you have one
Just one.
extension.
Just one.
And all it takes is one at this point, as far as I'm concerned. You either move it over, can those other people afford it? Can you go back to the east to those other businesses in some connection and make it work?
It's feasible for a cost.
I mean,
But you're just asking us basically to assure the county that we will support them in having this planned and we've set up the engineering for it, right?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the other way around. I mean, your comfortability proceeding with a project that doesn't have 100% yeses, I think there's state statute that says there's a minimum percentage that has to be in place, but that's just with inside city. So outside the city, like I said, we went through those 3 criteria that gives the city a right to do that.
Randy, can you clarify were the refusal for that easement made to the city when it presented the plans?
Yes.
Or has the county already tried to obtain that easement?
The county has not.
So I think part of the question
The
is,
county should do that.
what will is the county willing to offer? I mean, we had
Yeah.
to wrangle easements from several property owners for the work along Anderson Avenue. It did take negotiation, but ultimately, virtually all of the property owners agreed to some payment for those easements. And I think we're talking hypothetical here if the county hasn't yet pursued that direction.
Correct. I'll finish my thought earlier. I guess, instead of, I think we're seeking assurances from the county that if the county says, yes, we think you should force the benefit district, I mean, they've given us an unofficial verbal consent at one of their meeting to me. I think if they had a more formal direction that they are willing to participate via a resolution of some type, then would that make this governing body more willing to also force that district for a health and welfare issues?
I'm wondering a little bit, as we spoke previously about the parking garage, are we putting the cart before the horse with having this resolution tonight? If the county hasn't taken that stance yet?
Yeah, and remember, I'm looking for direction on parts A and B. Part C can stand on its own independently, and so we can move forward with that project because everybody's on board. We have a contractor and a contract already in place. So we can move forward on that, no issues. It's really this part A and B that's controversial and difficult because some difficult choices, I think, have to be made on, as a city, how do we want to proceed with this project, even though this is outside the city, how much we want to help the county, how much should we ask the county to in turn help with this process.
Would this be,
So, sorry, if I can
would
just.
this be a city
Karen,
benefit
can I-
district?
Yes,
Yeah, I
it's a
just-
city benefit district, and it would be city infrastructure, and they would be city customers.
So the resolution that I have here for my signature only pertains to section
Part
C.
Correct.
I think that clarification
We
helps.
don't have any official action on part A and B tonight. I'm just soliciting feedback on how you think we should proceed.
So if we approve Part C tonight, that
Yes.
takes care of four property owners over there.
Yes.
That solves their problem. But A and B, that was 5 property owners, right?
Yeah, so
A little bit.
5 tracks,
5 to 4 property.
4 owners. So one owner owns 3 of the tracks.
So 1 out of the 4 is dragging their
You
feet.
say we got 4 to 5 owners say yes, 12 out of 14 share. So that one dissenter actually has 2 shares because they have 2 connections.
But-
Statistically, those are, the overall district is in favor of the project.
I don't understand why this is a city benefit district, why it
The
wouldn't be.
city infrastructure.
Okay,
City infrastructure,
but
So
did
approve C
did
and-
the the Kansa district, was that a city? That was all-
It's city main,
Yeah,
and the overall district is the county's district, per se.
uh-huh.
We both
So who-
kicked in funds for that project.
Where did they get their bill? From the county or from the city? The Kansa people?
For sewer, it would be from us,
Okay,
through outside city agreements. On the water side, they get their bill from the Kansa Water Taxing District. We wholesale them that water.
So it seems like we approve C, let them get their project done, and let the 4 owners fight it out, work it out amongst themselves,
Okay.
how they want to proceed.
All right.
Like
Are
I said,
the-
I think 4 of them have said, yeah, let's proceed, but we still have to, we have to consider a
Oh, there's
petition and a
2
resolution
owners down here.
at some point, but we can't bid that project and proceed until we get
Yeah.
easement acquisition, so. It's a pretty sticky wicket.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the 4 have to decide, can they foot the bill as it is if you move it over and realign it? Or get the county to get all the people to agree and then we do it, seems to me.
Okay. I can approach county staff and ask them to give us a little bit more assistance.
Thank you, Randy. I'll see if there's any public comment.
Okay.
Seeing nobody approaching the podium, we will close public comment. Commissioners, again, we have 2 recommended actions on this item we will vote on separately. Do we have a motion?
C.
Yes, recommended action. We have two actions. One is to approve the resolution, and the second is to award the construction contract.
As the Unit C, I would move to approve Resolution 042126E, and it also award the contract.
Sir, Commissioner, two actions, so we have to vote separately on each one.
I'll second that.
Jared, can you call the roll again?
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Linnell.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. All right, now we have a second motion on this action.
I move we award the construction contract and authorize change orders up to 10%.
Second.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Linnell,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The final item on our agenda tonight is considering an option to purchase real estate agreement with BevHub,
Do I have a circle?
and we will hear from Deputy Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Jason Hilgers, again, Deputy City Manager. We originally entered into an agreement with BevHub back in 2020 to transfer some land. They took option on 2 lots out at the business park, but they also purchased the lot from the brewing company at the same time. As a point of reference, the lots that I'm speaking to, this is BevHub's operation. It's lot 27 and 29. They had a 3-year option that expired in October of 2025. They would like to re-engage with another 3-year option. The original option was done as part of the package with BevHub. There was an economic development application and an incentive package. So those 2 parcels were part of the agreement, and at the time they were at no cost to BevHub. Since it has expired, we have renegotiated an option at $10,000, and then they would buy these at $114,000, which would be $13,500. So the option originally was free. The land wasn't going to be free, but the option was free originally. We have added a clause to this that in the event they buy it within the 3-year period, they get 3 years basically to develop it. If they don't develop it, the land would revert back to the city, and an additional $20,000 would also be retained by the city. We would give them the balance back of the $30,000, and we would retain the property. This is a fairly new approach for us in land, but it's one that we want to take out in the park. We have some property owners who have bought land from the city and have not moved forward with their development. We have no reversionary clauses on that property. So we'd like to put these here forward. If you're not going to develop it within a certain amount of time, we'd like to see that land come back so we can work with prospective developers and businesses that would like to locate in the park. So the agreement this evening is an option to purchase. It has a negotiated price at $13,500 an acre. It's roughly a little over 8 acres of land. They would have 3 years to execute that option. If they did, they would then have 3 years to build on that land. Any questions?
So do we have a valuation of what the land is worth today? Because the deal, what they did in 2020, certainly has changed for land, because if you're gonna replace it, you aren't gonna replace any land out there for $13,500.
If we have been selling land at the business park for $13,500 an acre since inception. So it is worth more than $13,500 an acre. If the commission would like us to change that philosophy, we can work with our partners at the chamber and reapproach. It's a 190 acre park. Developed out, we're probably getting close to 65–70%. We still have 30% of the land available. So if we do want to change that approach, we can talk with our partners at the chamber about doing that.
Well, and another thing, well, if I want to go out and get one of those lots, can we have a first right of refusal to them, but they have to move, and they don't have 3 years? In other words, they can't sit on it and keep everybody else frozen out, where you already have utilities available to those lots, and to do something else costs the city money. So I think if I showed up and I wanted to buy it and put something on it, I ought to be able to force them to buy it or give it up. And especially where they're getting a great price deal for 3 years of delay for no finance cost. No expense to them for the last 6 years. So I'm not opposed to them having opportunity to grow. That's why we have the land presumably. But I'd like to have at least a fair shake for other people who come to town, or people who are here that want to grow.
That provision is not currently in the agreement. The reversionary clause, again, was our attempt to get the land back, but it could be up to 6 years. If someone showed up and made an offer on that property, the way the agreement's written today, they would not have to entertain it. We could go back to the negotiating table if that's a position the governing body would like to take. It could also be tabled, and we could come back with a discussion item on how you'd like to proceed with land. There's interest, and as I mentioned, we've been at $13.5 an acre without a whole lot of hooks, and it's burnt us a little bit. We've just got some land out there owned by other people that now they're trying to leverage that land. I'd rather get into a position, as you mentioned, Commissioner, of we've got the land out there, allow people to expand, allow people to develop. That's the purpose of it.
I think we might add that BevHub is, I believe, is in negotiations to expand one of their products or production of one of the products that they are working on. So it is very possible that they will be, I can't speak for the company, but it is very possible that they will be expanding. The chamber also has several negotiations underway to purchase property to be land ready for future development. And my understanding is that it is at that price per acre, and that might cause some issues with their current negotiations, should we attempt to change that price at this point in time.
This is our map currently. So the lots that I'm talking of are currently on our map as BevHub. They were obviously occupied under contract for around that 5-year period. We could easily change this map. I just want to bring it up so you know where the ownership currently is. There are some negotiations to try to get land back from Sykes. There have been several attempts to try to get it back from the NBQ8. Torgeson's obviously purchased, under construction. Walters Morgan is there. Amazon nearing completion. Florence does have a couple lots across the street from them. So we are getting down to, just a handful of lots that we have available. If we'd like to organize ourselves and have a different approach, we're open to that.
Well, I like the idea that if they don't produce, they get, and we get it back.
Right.
I think that's an excellent idea, proven by what your map shows. But
Yeah.
I'm still saying they've had 5 years of freedom, and they're in control. I'm not trying to take it away from them, but if I want to show up, they ought to have to buy it or give it up.
Right. And we could approach them with that option.
And
We've done
keep-
that before.
And keep the part that if they don't complete it,
Yeah, it reverts.
I would certainly be in favor of that language, adding that if somebody else comes along and wants to buy it, then they have first right.
Yeah, they can execute.
You
the
buy it, you
agreement.
execute, or we sell it to the next guy.
In that instance, it would probably revert back to the city, so then we could work with that owner. I think they're gonna have a first right to buy it. If they don't, it just stays with the city.
and keep the 3-year construction in that even
Understood. Do I have one other agreement with that approach? I mean, this agreement would not then be on the agenda tonight. We would go back to BevHub with the additional provision that there is a first right of refusal if someone else showed up with an offer that matched or exceeded theirs. They would either have to buy the property or turn it back to the city. Is that a provision you're comfortable with adding and bringing back? Okay.
I'm not objecting at this point for the 13.5, but I'm thinking, as we have other land that we have for sale, we ought to have staff or somebody decide, is that a fair amount from where we are? Because that land we acquired before 2020. And so we've sat on it a long time to give people opportunity that they wouldn't have had, and they sure can't get today. If they want to go out and buy the other 800 acres out there, they aren't going to buy it for 13.5, I guarantee you. Especially when the university paid $8 million for their corner.
Yeah, Torgerson and Amazon bought at $13.5 an acre. The more recent transactions out there, we have held that approach. Again, up for discussion, up for debate. And I really would like Jason Smith and Darren Solden, who are out really under contract, working to move this land, to give you all their opinions and their views. We can definitely get them here when we reconsider this contract.
The motion we would need from the governing body, if you want us to take this back, would be a referral back to staff for additional work.
I would make that motion.
I think we need to have public comment first, because I'm remembering that now. Is there anyone who'd like to make comment on this item? Seeing no one, we will close public comment, and now may I have a motion?
So moved. What Danielle said.
All right, our motion is to return this item to staff for further consideration and refinement. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Jared, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Fox,
Yes?
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Linnell,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough.
Yes, and I
Motion
move
passes.
we adjourn. All in favor,
Second.
say aye.
Is there a second?
It wasn't-
All right, please say aye or raise your hand. Aye. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for attending tonight. Katie,
I would think the land price would